Okay, so I think that most of us has joined. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining from all over the world. My name is Charlotte Nassi. I'm from France, and I'm part of the Sustainable Development Goals team of the SpaceGen United. I'm delighted to be hosting this session today, and it's particularly dear to our hearts at Space Generation, because when we talk about space, we usually get very technical. But today we wanted to share through a universal means of communications, which is art. So before we dive straight into it, we would like to remind our delegates that if you want to participate and ask any questions, use the Q&A section of the Zoom meeting. For the online audience, please use the comments section to ask any questions you have. You can also address directly either artists or myself in the chat section. So first, a quick recap on this arts competition and what it was about. In collaboration with Our Giant Leap, the SGAC Initiative for Diversity and Inclusion, we have issued a call for artwork on the theme of women in aerospace and gender diversity. Gender diversity because at SpaceGen United, we have been committed to supporting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Today, we are supporting Sustainable Development Goal 5, gender equality. Amongst the great contributions that we have received from all over the world, we have selected 5 winners who were offered a ticket to attend SpaceGen United, SGAC's first online congress. So let's talk a little bit more about the Sustainable Development Goal 5. What is it? What is it about? So Goal 5 aims to achieve gender equality in all spheres of society and to empower women and girls. In practice, these are a few examples of objectives that we have in this respect: to end discrimination against women, to eliminate violence against women, to eliminate any harmful practices, including child marriage, to recognize and value care and domestic work, which is particularly important nowadays with the global pandemic, to ensure women's participation and in leadership and decision-making, and to ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. These are only a few goals to strive for, and we can all participate. SDG 5 is particularly important nowadays because of the pandemic. To quote Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General himself, the limited gains in gender equality over the past decades are in danger of being rolled back due to the COVID-19 situation. So we all have a role to play in this, and in the space sector too. Here are a few numbers about this goal in the space sector. Amongst world's astronauts, only 11% of them are women. And amongst those, only 6% are called spacewalkers. With regards to research, in world STEM community, only 28% of researchers are women. And with regards to the space workforce to which we belong, only 20% are women. So these are a lot of numbers, just to give you the bigger picture. But you understand the idea. We need more women scientists, more women engineers. We need them to access managerial positions and to get involved in the space sector. But not only to join, we want them to feel supported and included enough to stay in the space sector on the long term. We also need more women astronauts, and I know that a lot of delegates here today are thinking about that type of career. So to support this, we believe that inspiration is a key tool. It's a very powerful tool, and this is something that the SGAC is very good at supporting. So as many of you know, SGAC is committed to inspiring women and to promoting diversity. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what we do at SGAC to support this. Since 1999, equity, diversity, and inclusion are key principles at SGAC. We strive to promote diversity, inclusion, and equality amongst all of our members. In our statistics, we're seeing huge increases in the amounts of female that are joining our teams. We have 40% of female team members in our team compositions. Our membership base is composed of 20% of female members and alumni. We have various scholarships to support diversity, and we organize events all over the world in different geographic locations. So we can see it in SGAC's events and activities, but also SGAC has been applauded for its efforts. The SGAC has won the IAF Excellence in 3G Diversity Award in 2018. This award supports any organization that promotes gender, geography, and generation diversity. And finally, in the 2020 strategic plan of SGAC, a major highlight was done to core principles of working together, of acting with respect and integrity, of embracing diversity, of representing the space generation and fostering improvements, being an open and transparent and proactive organization. So today we're happy to inspire all of you through this bit of peculiar means of communication, which is art. Art is powerful, it's universally understood, and it speaks directly to our emotions. It resonates with us in different ways depending on our personal histories. And this is why we wanted to invite the 5 winners of the competition, not only to show their work, but also to tell us what was behind it, what inspired them, and what the work represents. So before we dive straight into it and meet our artists, I would like to invite Priyanka from the communications team of Our Giant Leap to tell us a little bit more about this initiative. Priyanka, tell us, how can we participate in Our Giant Leap?
Thank you, Charlotte, for the wonderful introduction. And to give you a little history, Our Giant Leap is the space generation local event in France. This year, it'll be held in Toulouse in September, on the 26th of September at the local of Isa-Supero. And the initiative came into being last year after SG France 2019 in Paris, where a few of us got together and we decided that we talk a lot about going to the moon, going to Mars, but we do not really talk about diversity that much during our events. And we should probably have an event directly for being more inclusive for women. And the space sector is actually very notorious for being a glamorous industry where it's very easy to entice young generation to join the space industry. But once you join the industry, how do you make the industry, sustainable for the goals of women, to make it an environment that caters to women as well and takes into consideration different factors that might limit women from joining the industry and prospering in it, which explains why we don't have that many women in leadership positions in the space industry today. So the goal of Our Giant Leap is to create a platform to open discussions for delegates of SGAC, with our objectives being to raise awareness about what exactly is holding women back in the space industry, also to set up a network of people interested in helping out with making the space industry more inclusive for women, to inspire the young generation, and also to tell the young women not to be scared of joining the space industry. And by this, I mean not only engineers and scientists, because space being known for being just a playground for rocket scientists, it's not the idea that we want to propagate. We also want to invite everyone into the sector. So artists, lawyers, doctors, and not just engineers, and the standard the backgrounds that you expect to find in the space industry, and which is why the idea to call for art for the initiative, this is why it was launched. And I'm very glad that it reached this level. And please do join us for SG France 2020 in Toulouse in September. And I hand it back to you. And a big congratulations again to all the winners of this year's Call for Art. Thanks.
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you for joining. And yes, I'm looking forward to meeting you in Toulouse in September. I'm a lawyer myself, so this speaks to me particularly as well. Thank you for mentioning that. So without any further delay, I would like us to invite our 5 winning artists. So our first artist is Sylvia. She is from the Netherlands and likes to think of herself as a planet protector at heart and an adventurous creator for the bluish planet Terra of the Milky Way. While still studying photography at university, she likes to experiment in her free time and develop new creative techniques to tell her stories. Sylvia cares for other planets, for life forms, other life forms as well, and she tries to capture them in her work. Sylvia, your piece is called What Actually Happens on a Girl Night Out. So please tell us, what happens? Could you describe your creation for us? The floor is yours, Sylvia.
Thank you, Charlotte, for this nice introduction. And I'm very honored and happy to be here. So yeah, hello everybody. My name is Sylvia Adriana. I'm a bachelor student studying photography at the University of Lucas School of Arts in Genk, located in Belgium. Art is something that I've been doing throughout my whole life, and I felt over the years that I created a passion for telling stories through images. So that's what I try to do here as well. My inspiration behind these artworks was that I wanted to show that girls have dreams and aspirations for space too, in a more closed off and safe setting. Because I feel it's not easy for a girl to be heard in this field, and it's easier to share their dreams and aspirations with each other. So that's why I chose the title, What Actually Happens on a Girls' Night Out. The elements that I put in my work is to say that women are free thinkers, dreamers and doers, and that they definitely will make a great fit in this field. The essence of my work is to say in a playful way that girls deserve a place in the space industry as well. I'm already super glad to see women doing this and carrying on with their dreams, but I feel there has to be more diversity. When I made the posters, I made them all together to have like a certain style going on. I wanted to show when girls come together, they can achieve whatever they want. So sharing their dreams and aspirations is important to support each other and help each other reach their maximum capacity. The art pieces have a dreamy aspect to it because I wanted to show that I've listened to their dreams, and by making these posters, I wanted to show them that I support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Dreamy indeed. It made me dream, and I'm sure it will speak to a few of our delegates, our women delegates who are aspiring astronauts as well. Thank you very much for sharing. I'm just going to show one last time the 5 entire contributions of Sylvia. Before I introduce our next artists, our next winner is Jenny from Leticia Amazons, Colombia. Jenny holds a PhD in space engineering and technology, and she specializes in combustion and propulsion at the Brazil National Institute for Space Research, where she currently works as an engineer. She's passionate about science communication and is dedicated volunteer of the Cube Design events, a Latin American competition of small satellites. She also works on the Cube Design podcasts related. Jenny, your artwork is called Always Ready and Someday to Space. It's a very special piece. Could you tell us more about it? Please, Jenny, the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you for introducing me, Charlotte. And hello, everyone. And thank you very much for this opportunity to show one of my pieces of art in this event that highlights the role of the woman in the aerospace area. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Space Generation Advisory Council. My friends and family call me Jay, and hello. Sign my career as aeronautical engineer. I have been interested in different STEAM topics for the aerospace area, especially in propulsion system and recently in the development of the small satellites. So the inspiration for carry out this piece of art was my family college, specialists and professionals from the various disciplines that we can find in the aerospace area. For example, here are two very inspiring women. From the right to the left of their screen, we have Gracie, a Brazilian mathematics that is done her doctorate in space weather. Next is Atira, a young Indian engineer who works with Kansas projects, and me. I imagined how exciting this is in the not too distant future. And I think that the representation of women like yours, it's very important to inspire other women and girls in your nations. I also believe that a multicultural and diversified work environment in space projects and mission is fundamental for dynamics and creativity in solution to problems that may arise in this domain. Finally, I hope to have more family colleagues accompany me in different projects and missions, and I hope to be part of the inspiration for the new generation of scientists and engineers, especially in Latin America, where we had a lot to do for progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you so much for sharing. I love how you found the direct inspiration in the women around you and how you are slowly becoming the inspiration of the next generation. That's really nice to hear. So next we have Amrita. Amrita and her piece called Incredible Women. Amrita is a graduate in aerospace engineering from India. And to her, art is a means of comfort, allowing us to disconnect from the worries and the stress of the outside world. She is a trained Indian classical dancer and also a painter when she has some time. Amrita, there are a lot of different symbols in this piece, and I hope everyone will be able to see it correctly. But please describe it to us. Tell us about the story behind it. Amrita, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Charlotte. Hello, everyone. I am Amrita. I would like to start off by saying that we have known incredible women from different walks of life, taking the road not taken and have become the guiding light in our lives and our paths. So their journeys have shown us that persistence, hard work, and passion goes a long way. And they have given us hope and showed us that dreams do come true. Today, though, it's up to us to choose to take a leap beyond the barriers of race, gender, color, and culture. A leap towards equality and diversity. And it's up to me as an individual to take personal responsibility to promote the kind of society that I would want around me. And it's up to all men as fathers, husbands, mentors to stand by their daughters, partners, and students. And it's also up to women to support each other, encourage each other, and lift each other up to greater heights. And it's also it's up to all of us to stand together against the societal challenges that need to be overcome. This art expresses the kind of thoughts I get as a woman, and I'm glad to be sharing with all of you here. And I would like to express my gratitude to the entire team of SpaceGen United and Art Giants League for making this happen. And also I'm grateful to know and share this platform with these amazing artists. Thank you.
Thanks, Amrita. Thank you very much. Very inspiring. I see that your piece refers to many, many great women in the space sector. And I love the fact that you find inspiration in them, and you also try to pave the steps also for the next generation, like Jenny was mentioning. So our next artist is Eileen from Mexico. Her work is named Together We Aim Higher. Eileen Chong Castro is a mechatronics engineer born in Mexico. Her parents come from different backgrounds, and she proudly embraces the diversity of her heritage. Eileen obtained her bachelor in mechatronics engineering with a focus on robotics. She's currently pursuing her master's degree at the International Space University. And throughout her life, she has struggled with the fact of being a woman and the challenges associated with being a minority while pursuing her dreams in STEM and in space. So she wants to help and motivate the next generations to follow their dreams no matter the circumstances. Eileen truly believes that education is the milestone of our society, and she's fully committed to promoting STEM and space in her home country, Mexico. Eileen, would you please tell us more about your work, but also about your experience as a woman coming from a minority in the space sector? I know that there are some symbols in this piece. Eileen, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Charlotte, for the introduction. First of all, I would like to thank everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here to see the artwork of my fellow delegates and artists. As you mentioned, I graduated, well, my bachelor is from mechatronics, and I'm doing my master in space studies at ISU. I'm going to do my internship at the Space Robotics Lab at the Hockey University. As you mentioned before, like it's been hard to be in a minority, especially a woman in STEM. Challenging because like usually women tends to lower themselves in this man-dominated culture. And like, for example, if a man says a wrong answer in the class, it will take it on himself. But if a woman say it, like if she's representing all girls, like they will say, okay, girls are dumb, they don't belong here and stuff. So I inspire my artwork in Mercury 13. You can see on the bottom a great diversity of women from different culture, backgrounds, ethnicities, and like we're standing on their shoulders because they came before us, and it's our obligation to help the younger generations. That's why on the right there's a little girl flying her paper plane that it's later becoming into a rocket, and reducing that gap between women and men, putting that bow in space. So it was the artwork also focusing on women in aerospace. So you can see a lot of symbologies of the satellite, the airplane, the drones, and you can even see the ISS with the little astronaut, remembering Jessica and Christina doing the first all-woman spacewalk. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Eileen. Full of symbols in this piece. It's very powerful. Thank you for sharing. So now we are going to be looking at a bit of a different style of contribution. A piece that was sent to us by Nikki from Iran. Nikki is an engineer, and she has submitted a visual and audio piece basically on the beauty that comes out of teamwork that she represented through her music and the two melodies that her hands are playing on the piano. Nikki, as I said, is an engineer, a space engineer, and a space lover. She received her bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and is pursuing her education in space engineering towards a master's and a PhD. Working on international satellite projects and interacting with different people who are all in love with the same subject as us, space, let her believe that borders on this planet are imaginary. Quite an empowering thought that I think a lot of people share here at SGAC, Nikki. So I'm first going to ask you to describe your work to us, Nikki, and I'm going to let you tell us the story behind it and the inspiration around it before I switch to showing the video so that we can limit any potential technical issues. Nikki, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nikki, and it's an absolute pleasure and a great honor for me to be here. Thanks a lot. Well, I've been studying engineering for 7 years, and I'm a huge fan of hands-on work. So during years of working in international and national projects, I've seen and experienced different reactions and different perspectives around gender equality and diversity. But if I want to explain it, it's like when you have a problem in your team and you want to make a solution for that, this diversity plays a vital role. And it's like you're all looking at the same problem, but with from different angles. And this is what makes this diversity really amazing. And this is what helps your team to make the best solutions. So for this competition, the first idea that came into my mind was that I could make a really short piece of music that can be representative of this situation in the aerospace sector. So I'm not talking about kind of rhythmic music. It's just like a conversation that we normally hear in this industry. So I mean, if you've been to aerospace industry, you probably notice that a dominant voice that can be heard in this industry is the voice of men. So I had no other choice but to use low-pitched sounds and high-pitched sound to represent this contrast. You know, I played a piece of piano, and it was like my left hand was responsible for men and my right hand was responsible for women. And because I searched about it, and I found that about 10 to 20% of the people who are working in the aerospace sector are women. And surprisingly, this ratio has not changed for many years. So in the first sequence of the video, you can see that I played some notes with the left hand and just one single note with right hand. And it was like they're not talking together and they're isolated and they cannot work together. But step by step, I tried to change this ratio. And after some seconds, you feel like left and right hands are getting aligned together gradually. And after a second, you see that they're playing together. And this is when a big change happens. And this is a type of sound that you expected to hear from the piano. So the message is that we have to play together to make a better sound. And it's good to mention that during this process, I first tried to play another instrument, which we call setar, and it is one of our national instruments and traditional instrument. So first I played that instrument, and it was like when I listened to the recorded voice, it felt like it comes from Middle East or specific part of the Asia. So because we all know that this is a global debate topic, and this is not something that is specific to a special part of the world. So I changed and switched to piano. That this is the instrument that can be heard all around the world. So in short, it's like, let's play together. We can make much better sound. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you. That's very, very inspiring and very emotional to hear all of the thoughts that went behind this video. So I am going to show it to our delegates right now. So this was Women Can Make a Difference from Nikki Sajjad. that was Nikki's contribution. Thank you so much for sharing your story behind this video. So Nikki was our 5th winner of this competition. So I would like to thank all of you for participating, for becoming delegates of the SpaceGen United, and congratulations to all of you who have participated in this artwork competition, who have submitted pieces of work, or who have helped us choose and integrate the artists in the SpaceGen United family. So now that we've heard a little bit more from our artists on the story behind the artworks and their feelings, I would like to open up for the Q&A session. So delegates, you can use the Q&A in the Zoom meeting to send us your questions. And if people on the online audience would like to participate, you can send your question through the comments sections. While we wait for the questions to come through, I have a question of myself to Nikki. Now that we have you here, I wanted to ask you, Nikki, if you could tell us a bit more about why you chose music as the medium for this competition. How was this the first medium who came to mind? Because I know that you work on a lot of different types of medium.
Well, I used to play some different musical instruments, but it was around 3 years that when I started space engineering, I couldn't find enough time to practice it well. But during this time, during this quarantine and lockdown, I could find a good time to practice again and try to play different genres and freestyle. So it was like music have a healing power for me. So the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear about the art is its music.
Okay, wow. Thank you very much, Nikki. Very inspiring. Maybe next time you can share a sitar piece. I also have a question for Eileen. Could you tell us a bit more about a specific experience in your studies where you faced difficulties with regards to being from a minority? You've mentioned it a few times and it's quite clear in your piece. Could you tell us more about that, Eileen?
Yes, thank you so much. Well, for example, a current experience that I'm experiencing right now, it's that I'm Mexican, so I want to get into the space industry, and there's not that much field for ourselves. Like, if you want to participate on ISA, you have to be part of the state members. If you want to go to the US, you have to be citizenship. You have to have the US citizenship for the permanent resident. Same with JAXA. In Russia, like in every part of the globe. So it's hard to get into the space industry being a minority, but like there are startups that are willing to take you. So I'm grateful for them. So it's just like you have to knock a lot of doors.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for sharing on that. And also thank you for mentioning Mercury 13. I also found that very inspirational. If some of our delegates don't know about this story, please check it up. The first batch of women who had passed the same astronaut tests as the men back in the days. So we have some questions from YouTube that I'm going to address. So this one is addressed to all of our artists. How could we invite more artists to join the space conversation from all over the world? Do you have any ideas for that? Maybe we could ask Sylvia first. How could we get more artists interested in joining the space community?
I think actually that you're doing already a great job with this. By these competitions, I feel like, that artists can develop their artwork and be part of this big community as well. So I think by doing this and maybe create some events with also like maybe some artist workshops like piano or whatever, like these different type of areas, and combine them together, that yeah, we can learn from each other, and yeah, maybe in this way. Yeah.
Jenny, what do you think about this?
Hello. I think that inclusion of the artist and woman in the space sector is very important to integrate these two activities, because you need to communicate to the society all the important technology, the importance of the technology and science. And I think that we need to unify the STEAM totally.
Yes, indeed, indeed. We've been talking about STEM a lot, but STEAM is also a concept that's been growing a lot in the space industry, and I know that a lot of our delegates think very dearly of it. I also have a question for all panelists, but maybe we could start with Amrita. So this is what from one of our delegates. If you had to make another creation on the topic of women in STEM, what would come to mind? What would that creation look like, Amrita?
Well, that's, I don't know.
You mentioned being inspired by loads of different women. I see so many names in this drawing. Maybe there's one in particular you would like to tell us about?
I was inspired by Nancy Grace Roman, who's also called the mother of Hubble. Even at the age of, I don't exactly know her age, but I found a video of her talking about how there still exists a pay gap, or the amount of women taking part in STEM education. So that is what inspired me to include these hashtags like equal pay, change the ratio, women supporting women, and he for she, which really say that there needs to be a balance between the work, the amount of men involved and women involved. So I would say her.
Thank you, Amrita. Do any of our other artists want to add to this? Okay, well, I have another question from the Zoom meeting. In your opinion, artists, what areas of the space sector still needs the most improvements? Where would you personally focus on if you could? Maybe we could ask Eileen. Is there something dear to your heart, Eileen, that you would like to underline in supporting women in the space sector? I know you're very passionate about education.
Yes, for me, maybe get involved with women astronauts, because there are little research and data we have about them, and we need to collect more and see how they perform in space. So that will be a good thing. Also, I don't know, politics somehow. We need more budget into the space sector, so that will be a good option.
Thank you, Eileen. Yes, indeed, women astronauts. But I think we are having more and more. And I know that Our Giant Leap is supporting a campaign to encourage women to apply to the next European astronaut selection. So please look at that as well. I have another question for Nikki. Nikki, could you tell us how did your passion for space and for art start? Where did it come from?
I think the first time was when I was watching a documentary that it was a launch of a rocket, and it was the moment I really fell in love with space and all space technology. And then gradually, when I went into the space, this really increased. This passion really increased. But I think the first time was about that documentary.
Okay, thank you. And maybe Sylvia, you could tell us where your passion for space came and your passion for art.
My passion for art was like when I was already younger. My grandfather, he drew a lot, he painted, and I really, yeah, got along with him, and he always supported me to create and explain my feelings through art. And I thought that was like super interesting. And then I got older. Yeah, I thought like space, the stars, the universe was always something like super magical. And I thought like these things were amazing to combine together in this competition. And yeah, I just grew more and more fan for space. And I think it's a thing that you can like your imagination can go beyond. So there is not like a certain area that you have to stop thinking about. So yeah, it's amazing that this is something that we can still discover a lot. And for an artist, that's amazing. That's yeah, that gives you a lot of freedom to create.
Indeed. And I have another question on that subject, actually. One of our delegates was wondering how you envisioned these women on another planet, and how do you think your vision? How close do you think your vision is to what it will be when we eventually discover other planets? How were you inspired by that? Women discovering new planets and living in space.
That's a really good question. Yeah, I think that it will be quite amazing to finally see this happening, and that women kind of are equal as men by discovering these new planets. And I see this as something that is, yeah, also quite magical and super intriguing to see as well. And what was the last question? Sorry.
No, just wondering how close you think your vision is to what it actually will be like when we discover other planets.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard question, because I think this is just like my reality of how it could be. I mean, it will be awesome if we don't need any suits and just can like see the world from up top there. But I think if we have like super nice girly spacesuits and yeah, we can enjoy the universe like that, that will be, yeah, that would be great and awesome.
Yes, indeed. I was wondering, in your personal experience, Jenny, have you been inspired by specific initiatives to promote women from South America in the space sector? Have you seen any plan for that? Or are you going to have to work on it yourself?
Oh, okay. So here in Latin America, we start in Brazil a competition about the small satellites. In this competition, we work. We work with the develop of small satellites, and we learn to young professional to all the things the things about the cycle of the life of the product, and we give the opportunity to include all fundamental women and all the type of people that that want to learn to we give this possibility to learn about the small satellites technology and other themes that is about the space, for example. And I think that education is the more fundamental for education, and critical think is very fundamental in Latin America to promote the progress in this area.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for sharing, Jenny. I also wanted to ask the question to Amrita. In your part of the world, how are things going with regards to inspiring women to join STEM and to join the space sector? Are there any initiatives that you would like to tell us about? Any plans?
Well, I would, at least around me, I don't know about a lot of, I don't know about everywhere else, but right here, I still feel that there's so much that can be done, that there are women who can be, are capable of joining STEM, but maybe the society, the kind of maturity, the kind of openness that needs a lot of work to be done. Apart from that, yes, there are women who are very driven into STEM. For me, at least, the kind of the situation that I have been brought up, I haven't seen many women in my family, at least, getting involved into STEM. So I would say, for me, it's a good start. For me, it's a good start.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Amrita. And Eileen, with regards to this, do you have any ideas of how we could inspire these women who don't always have someone that looks like them to look up to? How do we reach out to these women on a global level?
Thank you so much. I think it's so hard. It's very important to have a representation of someone and like see yourself like you want to become that person. So I think it's more, again, outreach and education, like portray this, to break the stereotypes and teach kids that, okay, you can do this, go for it. You have all the tools you need. So it's more about education.
Yes, indeed. And it's really nice to see that in your artwork, you really included women from all over the world. Very inspiring. And Nikki, I wanted to ask you the same question. How are things in Iran, and how were you inspired to join the space sector? Are there any support, any plans, any outreach? And how do you think we could make things better and reach out to more women all over the world?
I think the situation in Iran is not that bad because, the first time I really felt this discrimination was when I was working in another country. And it was my very first time that I realized that there is a discrimination and there is a difference. But in Iran, I was so lucky because I had amazing people around me that they always had my back and never let me just feel any discrimination. But when you want to compare the number of women to men, it's like in all the teams I've been, I was the only one or maybe one of the few girls. And I don't know, maybe some girls don't like to be a part of space engineering projects, or maybe some girls think that and this is not for them, or maybe they cannot climb up the ladder. And I'm not sure about it, but based on my experiences, the situation and the way that people act is not that bad.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for underlining that. It's true that sometimes in our daily lives, we don't see people who look like us, but that doesn't necessarily mean that as a person we experience discrimination on a daily basis. And I think it's important to say that. Well, I would like to thank you all for submitting your pieces of work and for joining us today. Good luck in the SpaceGen United experience, and congratulations on winning this competition. Thank you to the delegates for joining us today, and thank you to our online audience for watching. You can stay in touch with us on social media. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Just keep in touch. You can use SGU hashtags. So hashtag SGU, hashtag SpaceGen United. And I'd like to encourage you as well to join the SGU Culture Challenge. We have just opened this challenge and it's up until Friday in collaboration with the Italian Space Agency. So you can send a 15 seconds video highlighting your culture to the Instagram page of SpaceGen United and maybe win a prize. You can also participate in the Strava Fitness Challenge. It's really easy. You just need to download the app, and whatever you're doing, whether it's biking, running, swimming, or just going for an evening stroll, add it to the SpaceGen Challenge and help us reach Middle Earth orbit. Thank you very much for joining today. It was a pleasure to host this session, and have an amazing SpaceGen United. Thank you.